Stop everything now. What is happening is not a coincidence. You have been chosen. And no, this is not an exaggeration. In the next few minutes, I will show you a secret that has been hidden for centuries, a very powerful teaching from Thoth to unlock the energy of prosperity within you. You don't realize it, but your old beliefs are draining your power every day. It's like you're trying to run with invisible chains on your feet. And the craziest part is that only those who are ready can break these chains. This is why the universe brought you here, and I promise you that if you stick around until the end, you will learn not only how to unlock, but how to activate a vibrational flow that immediately begins to work in your favor. In a moment, I will show you how to access this hidden energy. But first, take a deep breath because what is coming may be the key you have been waiting for a long time. Are you with me? Energy flows where attention goes. You have arrived here because you have already begun to feel it. It doesn't matter if you don't understand exactly what is happening. What matters is that something inside you is already vibrating differently. It's like a little alarm, a signal that resonates from the depths of your being saying, there is something more. And right now, we are about to walk through the first door together. But this door is not made of wood or iron. It is made of something much more subtle, much more insidious. Your own beliefs, yes. What you believe about yourself, about life, about the world, is the raw material of the invisible barrier that surrounds you. If you are listening to these words, it is not a coincidence that tingling you feel is the signal. Click like right now to tell the universe, I am ready to receive. That thumbs up is not a click, it is an energetic seal between us. And if you feel that this truth resonates in your cells, subscribe to the channel. Joining this circle means nurturing the collective awakening together. Each premium subscription is a permission you give the universe to take you higher. The journey begins with a gesture. You are already at the threshold. Now cross it. Every day, with every thought that crosses your mind, you reinforce a vibration. And this vibration shapes the way you perceive reality, how you feel, how you act. The fact is that you have been programmed from a very young age to vibrate low, not out of conscious malice. It is because your parents, your teachers, your friends were already vibrating that way before you. They believed that life was hard, that money was scarce, that happiness was rare, and without realizing it, they pass these truths on to you as if they were universal facts, but they are not. Imagine for a moment that you are an antenna. You capture signals, transform those signals into emotion, and send a vibration back to the universe. When you grow up being told that you are not enough, that you are not worthy, that the world is dangerous, that it is better to settle, your antenna starts to constantly broadcast that frequency. No matter how much you want to change your life, if deep down you believe that you cannot, your vibration remains stuck in the same pattern. And here is the first big trap. People think that reality changes only with external efforts, working harder, studying harder, fighting harder. But what blocks their energy is not what they do on the outside, it is what they bring in. Think about the thoughts you have every day. How many times do you catch yourself mentally saying, I am not capable, I never get lucky, this will never work, I am not loved? These phrases pass so quickly that you don't even notice. But each one is an energetic command. Each one is a password that you repeat into the vibrational field that surrounds you, and that field responds exactly to what you transmit. That is why so many people feel exhausted, trying to change their lives with physical effort without ever getting to the root of the problem. It is like trying to clean a dirty mirror by scrubbing the wall behind it. You are working in the wrong place, and this invisible barrier does not only manifest itself in moments of crisis, it is present in the little things of daily life. When you criticize yourself before you even try something new, when you are afraid of losing before you have even won, when you decide that it is better not to dream so as not to be disappointed. This is the pattern. This is the wall that surrounds you. And it is important to understand that we are not talking about a banal positive thought. It is not about forcing optimistic sentences while inside you still vibrate fear. It is about recognizing that there is a system running in the background of your consciousness, like a hidden software programmed to always keep you in the same place. This software was not inserted by you. It was inherited, copied, installed without your knowledge. But now is your chance to start seeing the signs. Start observing your day. When an opportunity presents itself, what do you think? When someone pays you a compliment, what do you feel? When you make a mistake, what is the first thing your mind says? These little moments are windows. They show where your energy is stuck. They show where you are still feeding the same old frequency, and without realizing it, that is closing the door to prosperity. You could even ask the universe for abundance. You could make wish lists, visualize, pray. But if you carry guilt, fear, insecurity deep inside, your vibration is out of alignment with what you ask for. And the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. It responds to what you vibrate. This is the first big revelation, and it's not easy to digest because it means that changing your life is not a matter of luck or waiting for the right moment. It is about breaking an energetic pattern that you have been repeating for years, and it is this very barrier that the secret of Thoth will begin to dissolve, but only for those who are ready. The invisible cycle that holds you back. And this is where the journey begins to deepen. Because understanding that there is an invisible barrier is only the beginning. The real challenge is seeing the cycle that keeps you stuck. This cycle is not visible to the eye. It is not reflected in the mirror. It is not written anywhere, but it determines almost everything in your life. It lives inside your mind, fueled by emotions you don't even notice and thoughts you have already normalized. You think small, feel small, act small, and you don't even know why. This is the most dangerous poison. It works silently, like a habit you never question. Imagine a child hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't have everything in life. If you are born poor, you will die poor." He hears them from his parents, his teachers, on TV. At first he doesn't understand, but his brain, still fresh and impressionable, begins to absorb these phrases as universal laws. And as he grows, without even realizing it, he begins to act as if those phrases were immutable truths. When an opportunity presents itself, he hesitates. When he tries something new, he doubts himself. When he thinks of greatness, he immediately feels guilty, as if he doesn't deserve it. And so, without realizing it, he reinforces his own prison. This cycle becomes so automatic that you don't even notice it anymore. It manifests itself in the little moments of everyday life. When you turn down a compliment, when you belittle an accomplishment, when you're afraid to get paid for your work, when you feel uncomfortable asking for help. These micro gestures seem silly, but together they build a wall around you. And that wall is made of emotional patterns. You feel afraid, so you hold back. You hold back, so you miss the opportunity. You miss the opportunity, so you reinforce the idea that things never work out. And so you create a spiral that keeps tightening and tightening until it seems impossible to escape. Fear, by the way, is the main fuel of this cycle. It doesn't have to be an explicit fear, like the terror of losing everything or facing immediate danger. It works on subtle levels, like a constant restlessness, a nameless anxiety, a vague feeling that something is about to go wrong. This fear makes you choose the safe path, even if that's the one that keeps you small. It makes you avoid risks, even if that's what you need to grow. It makes you silence your voice, even when it's your voice that could open the doors you dream of walking through. And as you keep going around in this cycle, life keeps passing by. You wake up, you work, you go home, you try to relax, you sleep, and the next day, it all repeats itself. You look back and feel like nothing has changed. You look ahead and don't know where to start. And that's not because you lack talent, luck, or help. It's because you're trapped in a self-perpetuating energy cycle, a cycle that was planted in you before you even had a choice. But now, for the first time, you're starting to see the threads that bind you. And in the next part, we'll reveal how these beliefs were planted in you without you even realizing it, and by whom. As you spin this invisible cycle, there is something even more profound going on behind the scenes. You begin to realize that it is not just isolated beliefs. It is not just individual thoughts or emotions. There is an entire carefully structured system that has been working for centuries to make sure that those beliefs remain firmly in you. And here is the most important part. It is not your fault that you fell into this. From the moment you were born, everything around you has been molded to make you grow up obedient, limited, controlled. Fear has been the tool of choice to keep the system in place. Look closely. How many times have you heard phrases like, "If you do this, you will go to hell. If you disobey, you will be punished. If you don't follow the rules, you will be rejected. It doesn't matter your background, your culture, your environment." At some level, these ideas were thrust upon you. The fear of social punishment, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of not being accepted, the fear of not being loved. All these little fears were cleverly planted from the beginning, like invisible fences marking how far you could go. And when anyone tried to question, challenge, or think differently, the system responded forcefully. Criticism, exclusion, reprimands. The message was always clear: stay where you belong. This system is not a vague theory. It manifests itself in religious structures, in schools, at work, in the models of success sold by the media. It is reinforced by the movies you watch, the news you read, the stories you hear. It is everywhere, constantly whispering in your ear. Don't you dare step out of line. You may even feel special. You may even seek self-knowledge. But be careful not to push it too far, because if you push it too far, you'll start to see something the system doesn't want you to see, that isn't as solid as it seems. Fear isn't just an individual emotion, it's a collective network. It connects millions of people in patterns of silent obedience. It makes neighbors check in on each other. It makes friends monitor each other. It makes families pass down the same boundaries from generation to generation. And the most impressive thing is that it does all this without the need for any visible force, without the need for external control. Fear is an invisible programmer that makes sure you don't try to break the mold because you believe the consequences would be unbearable. The secret that few people know is that the system doesn't hold up just because of external power. It holds up because you have learned to control yourself. You become the guardian of your own chains. You criticize yourself before someone else criticizes you. You limit yourself before someone else limits you. You hold yourself back before someone else holds you back. That's how the cycle perpetuates itself, and that's why it's so hard to break, because it's not just about changing the outside world, it's about changing the way you've been conditioned to see yourself. But what no one tells you is that inside this invisible prison, there's a crack, and that's where you'll break free. The breath of awakening, how to begin to break the cycle. That crack, that little opening in the system, is the breath of awakening. It is that moment when, for a brief moment, you realize that you no longer have to wait for permission to change. You don't need someone to come and save you. You don't need the world to organize itself perfectly around you. This is where true hope begins, because awakening doesn't depend on external factors. It starts from within. It begins the very moment you look inside yourself. Not to judge or criticize yourself, but to remember. Yes, remember the essence that has always been there, pulsing silently beneath the layers of fear, shame, and conditioning. You are not just a body, you are not just a mind, you are not just a collection of memories, traumas, desires, and insecurities. In your deepest nature, you are a spark of the same energy that created the stars, the oceans, the mountains, entire galaxies. You were created in the image and likeness of the Creator, not in the physical sense but in the vibrational sense. This means that you carry within you a creative field, a core of power that, when ignited, has the ability to reshape everything around you. And the most extraordinary thing is that this does not depend on any complex ritual or esoteric knowledge hidden in rare books. It depends only on a simple but revolutionary act, the act of re-examining who you really are. In this moment, as you listen to these words, something important is happening. A part of you is beginning to understand that this awakening is not a distant destiny or an unattainable goal. It is a choice. It is a silent but profoundly transformative inner movement. When you begin to question the patterns you have repeated for years, when you begin to doubt the stories you have told yourself, when you begin to realize that the voice that has always screamed in your head is not always telling the truth, you are taking the first steps to breaking the cycle. And pay attention. This does not mean that fear will disappear overnight, that limitations will magically vanish, that everything will fall into place as if by magic. It simply means that you begin to understand that you no longer have to be ruled by it. Fear may still exist, but it no longer has to drive your decisions. Limitations may still arise, but they no longer have to define who you are, because deep down you begin to realize that there is something inside you that is untouchable, something that has always been there, intact, perfect, complete. That something is your divine essence, and that essence cannot be bought, cannot be sold, cannot be taken away from you. It simply is. It is who you have always been before any story, before any label, before any pain. And it is from this recognition that awakening begins to take shape. Not because you become someone different, but because you finally stop believing that you have to be something other than what you already are. And when you stop fighting against yourself, when you let go of the need to prove something to the world, a silent peace begins to emerge. But be careful, because this peace is not the end of the path. It is only the entrance portal. Because before you move forward, you must learn to read the greatest teacher of all, the one that has always been before your eyes, but that few have learned to listen to, nature itself. And when you open that inner door, when you begin to touch the divine essence within you, it is impossible not to see nature with new eyes, because it has always been there, whispering to you the greatest secrets of the universe, waiting for you to stop and listen. Look at a tree, not just as a trunk, branches and leaves, but as a silent master that resists storms, strong winds, scorching summers, harsh winters, and yet remains firm, constantly renewing itself. The tree does not complain when it loses its leaves in the fall. It does not fear the winter. It does not doubt the coming of spring. It simply lives the cycle, abandoning itself completely to the greater flow of life. And what does this teach you? That you too can renew yourself, that you too can let go of what no longer serves you. You see, a tree does not cling to dead leaves. It lets them go, lets them fall, knowing that without that release, there will be no room for the new to sprout. How many beliefs have you carried with you for years that are already dry, withered, heavy, and that you insist on holding on to for fear of being left naked before the world? The natural cycle shows that vulnerability is an essential part of renewal. When the tree is without leaves, it is exposed, but it is in that state that it prepares the strength to flourish again. The ground you walk on holds ancient memories. The waters that flow in the rivers have touched distant continents. The wind that blows now has crossed mountains, deserts, oceans. Nature is an interconnected and pulsating system that transforms every moment. And if you stop to really feel it, you will realize that you are not separate from it. You are made of the same material. You breathe the same air. You vibrate at the same frequency. When you try to hold on to a fixed identity, a rigid narrative of who you are, you freeze something that was born to flow. Everything around you is already showing you that you can change, that you can let go of the old to make room for the new. And here is a profound detail. Nature does not judge its phases. A tree is not ashamed of being without flowers. The sky does not apologize for being cloudy. The sea does not blame itself for being rough. Why then do you condemn yourself so much for the phases you go through? Why do you believe you have to always be happy, always perfect, always productive? This is a distortion that society has forced upon you, but nature offers a truer reminder. Every season has its purpose, every phase has its beauty, every transformation brings a lesson. The secret to activating the energy of prosperity. Your existence is not an isolated episode disconnected from the rest of creation. Every breath you take stirs the invisible fabric that connects everything. Every choice, every word, every thought sends ripples that expand far beyond your personal life. Collective purpose is the web in which we are all woven. Although most people have forgotten it, you did not come into this world just to pay bills, complete daily tasks, and repeat patterns until the last day. You came to touch the whole, even when you don't realize it. When you smile at someone on the street, you change the vibrational field around you. When you choose forgiveness instead of revenge, you lighten ancestral burdens that weren't even yours alone. When you allow yourself to blossom, you inspire others to do the same. This is not abstract philosophy. This is energy in motion, energy that pulses through you and shapes the collective space. Life is not a solitary game. You are playing in a network. And while that network vibrates fear, guilt, anger, competition, the world around reflects the same chaos. But when someone starts to vibrate differently, something changes. Even if slowly, even if almost invisibly, the field around begins to reorganize. This is the most powerful insight you can have right now. Your inner transformation is not just for you, it is for everyone. Every time you choose to break an old pattern, you make room for others to do the same. Every time you break an emotional chain, you lighten the burden of generations. You did not come here just to survive. You came to have an impact, to resonate, to multiply possibilities. And when you realize that awakening stops being a solitary journey and becomes a dance with the collective, here comes the most awaited moment, revealing how to reactivate the energy of prosperity within you. Prosperity, contrary to what many people think, is not simply having money or accumulating possessions. It is a vibrational state. When you vibrate in fear, in scarcity, in shame, you naturally create blocks in the flow of this energy. Imagine a river that should flow freely but has been dammed up by years of limiting beliefs. It becomes stagnant, murky, devoid of strength. But when you begin to loosen those bonds, something extraordinary happens. The flow returns, the water begins to flow again, and with it comes a deep sense of alignment with life. This is what prosperity is all about: being in the flow, being connected, feeling like you are not fighting the current, but rather sailing with it. Simple practices can start this unblocking. An example: carefully observe your thoughts. When a limiting belief comes up like "I will never make it" or "I am not enough," stop, take a deep breath, question that voice. Ask yourself, where did this idea come from? Who put it in me? And most importantly, is it really mine? You will begin to realize that many of these beliefs were just borrowed, absorbed over time, but were never part of your essential self. And by releasing those bonds, you make room for a new vibration. Another powerful practice: reprogram your emotions. It's not about faking happiness when you don't feel it. It's about consciously choosing to nurture states like gratitude, joy, compassion, even in the face of challenges. When you activate these emotions, even in small doses, you reopen blocked channels within you. And the most magical part is that the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want, it responds to what you vibrate. When you vibrate abundance, even before you see external results, you are already in the flow of prosperity. This is not superstition, it is energetic resonance. But there is still the deeper part: how to protect this state in a world that wants to take you back, how to shield your energy field. The world you live in is full of forces that want to take you back. Constant distractions, emotional noise, social cycles that drain your energy without you realizing it. That is why now is the time to understand how to shield your energy field. Imagine your energy as a precious reservoir. Every time you engage in gossip, comparisons, empty competitions, it is as if little holes are being drilled into that reservoir. Little by little, the strength you have cultivated begins to disperse. Not because you are weak, but because the system was designed to keep you distracted, tired, divided. Shielding your energy field begins with selective attention. It means consciously deciding where to place your focus. When you spend hours bogged down in pointless discussions on social media, when you immerse yourself in news that only breeds fear and helplessness, when you get involved in emotional back and forth with those around you, you are not just wasting your time. You are losing alignment. Your vibration is lowered, Your clarity is lost, your intuition is clouded, and this is how the invisible world around you affects your vibrational state. It is not about living in isolation or ignoring the world, but about developing an internal filter, a filter that asks, does this nourish my light or drain my energy? Another powerful tool is silence. The modern world is so noisy that you have been conditioned to fear silence. But silence is where true rebuilding happens. Set aside moments every day to disconnect, not just from screens, but also from internal noise. Close your eyes, breathe, notice what is alive inside you. When you create spaces of presence, your energy begins to reorganize naturally. And this reorganization does not depend on complicated practices. It depends on commitment to yourself. You are responsible for choosing where to invest your energy. And every time you choose alignment over distraction, you strengthen your field. Avoiding comparisons is also essential. You have a unique path, a unique rhythm, a unique essence. Comparing yourself to others is one of the cruelest forms of self-sabotage because it puts you in a race you were never meant to run. Every time you measure yourself by someone else's yardstick, you weaken your journey. And shielding your field is, above all, honoring your process. Recognizing that your awakening has its own rhythm, that your thriving has its own shape, that your vibration has a unique signature in the universe. Protecting it is a profound act of self-love. Awakening doesn't transform you into something new, it simply removes the layers that have made you forget who you've always been. You were chosen for this, and not because there is a spiritual elite, not because you are better or more special than anyone else. You were chosen because you decided to listen, because you decided to stop and pay attention, and now a door has been opened. And now we come to the grand finale, the call that only the prepared can hear. You did not arrive here by accident. It was not just curiosity that brought you to these words. It was synchronicity. It was the universe that conspired to bring you face to face with this moment, this secret, this revelation. The secret of Thoth is not just ancient knowledge. It is not just an esoteric code reserved for the few. It is a vibrational reminder that you are already prosperous, already abundant, already connected. That door is not a magical portal outside of you. It is a space within your being that begins to expand, a space where your energy and purpose meet, a space where awakening is not just a concept, but a living practice. If you have come this far, it is because something inside you has already begun to awaken. And if these words have lit even a spark in you, know that the journey continues. Your like weaves a thread in the cosmos, your comment whispers to destiny, your subscription seals a sacred pact between seeker and guide. Thank you for stopping, for listening, for awakening the part of you that already knew. Now you are different, and when you return, because you will, new truths will await you. It is not a goodbye, but a we will meet again beyond the awakening. With infinite light, see you soon.